Don't take anything for granted. I will tell you that right now. Some wise words I've heard before. You'd never know what you have until it's gone, okay? As you guys know, I started a new school this semester. I'm no longer in a community college, and the parking situation is a little bit different. I'm starting to get a little used to it as it's been a full week of being in this school, but the first day that I got to school, I was already running a little bit late. I work before school starts, a couple hours before school starts, and then I have a 30-minute commute from my hometown to my college town. And I I bought a parking pass like 30 minutes before I left for school, and class starts at 12. I remember specifically reading the syllabus, and the professor wrote down that you will not be late to class. If you are late to class, you will not enter the class until we are at a point where you will not interrupt the class. So that's kind of embarrassing for me, at least, and I was not going to do all that, so I was trying to be on time. It was the first day, so I guess it would be a little bit understandable. So the walk was a little extensive, and also luckily today the weather's actually really nice, but the weather that day was like super hot and the sun was just like beating down, and it was a long walk. And honestly, where my college town kind of has a good amount of hills, so I had to park in this huge parking lot and find an actual parking spot to be in, and then I had to walk in the heat without my AirPods because I forgot my AirPods on the first day, of course, and I had to walk all the way down past a strip of food places, and then up this big old hill, and then right into campus. I don't even know how many miles to tell you. Let's say like 2-3 blocks, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in the heat and with a hill, yeah, it's a little bit. Then I had to go into my building. Luckily, my first class was on the first floor. If I had to go all the way up to the fourth floor, I'd probably go a little bit insane. Luckily, it was on the first floor, and it was also just a weirdly laid out building. I understand it now since I know where my classes are at, but it's so weirdly laid out with the numbering and everything. So I went to the other side of the building, which was not where my class was at. Looked like an idiot turning around to go to the other, because it's kind of like you come in through the front and then you just go around, like that's where the classes are at. So I had to go around, do like a quick and then turn around and go the other way because that's not where my class was at, which is kind of embarrassing. I had to look at the map a couple times, but I made it to my first class, which was calculus. And yeah, but honestly, I think that's what I really, really miss from my community college that I went to, because literally you just parked and it was like 20 seconds for you to get into the door, into the air conditioning, and that was just not the case for me on the first day. I want to welcome you guys to the Semester Diaries podcast. I am your host, Emma Williams, and I'm so happy that you came back, or welcome at all if this is your first episode that you're watching. If you haven't watched the last episode, I am a junior in college. I started this week actually, and I am a health science major, hopefully going into pharmacy school. So this episode's mainly going to be a debrief on my first week of school. As I mentioned, I had a fresh start and I started at a completely different school, and it's just a completely different vibe from the community college that I went to for 2 years before coming here. I love me a good debrief. Like, I am always asking my friends, like, the first day of school, first day of work, applying for a job, like anything, like I need a good debrief, okay? And what best way to do a debrief than through my podcast? I thought, what a better time to go over a debrief of my week of college than in the beautiful park of my college town. It's so quiet and peaceful up here. And the weather is so perfect today. It's not too humid. The sun isn't beating down on me. I haven't sweat once today. I don't have a snack with me and I don't have a drink. Hopefully that'll start soon. But I already got a drinky, like a cute little drink for today, so can't get another one right now. So yeah, let's get started. I definitely started the week very nervous and just anxious to starting my new school. It's not very far away from home. It's literally just a 30-minute commute, but I'm also kind of taking some difficult classes. I'm completely new to the topic of organic chemistry and calculus. Those are the ones I'm like mainly new to and don't really have any like background knowledge on. And then my classes are kind of split up into like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have 2 classes, and then Tuesday and Thursday I have 1 class, and then I have an online class that hasn't started yet. It starts like halfway through the semester. Coming from my small community college in my hometown, it honestly kind of just like was an extension of high school a little bit, just because since it's in my hometown, most people just went there right after high school. I mean, it's cheap. Like, I don't blame you. Like, girl, it's cheap. You get 2 years of college for free. Like, honestly, the education is pretty good. Like, it's nothing, I wouldn't say it was any easier than going to a 4-year institution, unless we're speaking about like Harvard, you know? I will say I was a little bit overwhelmed. Of course, that whole parking situation and then getting to class. My first class was a pretty small room, but it was filled to the brim with students, and all the students are pilot majors, and we have a couple like engineering majors, and I'm the only none of those 2 majors in there. Also, I'm one of 4 girls in my class. So far, I haven't had any issues or anything, because we haven't had to do any like group work or anything. So I think I'm fine, but it's just a little bit embarrassing with, we do a lot of like exit tickets, and I can do some basic algebra. Okay. I can do some simplification for you. I can solve for X. Factoring, apparently that's a big component of applied calculus, which is what I'm taking. And so I have to meet up with my teacher to talk about it, because I cannot remember factoring for the life of me, apparently. Luckily, my teacher is very nice. She's very understanding. She is a little bit of a math nerd. I will say I was also used to in community college, honestly, you sometimes just had the table to yourself. Even if it was like a bigger classroom, usually the desks were like pretty wide, and you usually had a desk to yourself. If anything, maybe if it was like super full, then you shared a desk with one more person. But if not, then you literally just like were in one desk by yourself, and they were pretty wide. As soon as I got into that class, it was like a long desk, and then 4 people per long desk. So we're pretty close to each other. I mean, we're not bumping shoulders, but we're closer than I'm used to. So I'm struggling on my calculus, my factoring problem here on my exit ticket, and I can see bro calculating his own, so I'm assuming he can probably see me struggling with my exit ticket, and that's a little bit embarrassing. But it's just a hump we have to get over. Right after calculus, I had my chemistry class. This was another full classroom, but just much bigger. It was definitely more of a lecture setup. It kind of like goes up. It's not an auditorium, but it does kind of go up like in seating. I'm sitting kind of towards the middle, so not too far away, not too close. Oh, one component that I do remember is that it was so hot. It's still hot. The AC has not been fixed. So it is a terrible combination. All my classes are in one building. My calculus class at the very bottom, which is nice because I don't have to do any stairs right after being in the sun. But right after my calculus class, I have to go all the way from the 1st floor to the 4th floor. And there isn't very much access to the elevators. There's only one elevator, and it's kind of embarrassing if you get on the elevator. At least for me, I think it's unspoken like embarrassment rule. At least for me, I don't know. Maybe if the elevator was like right next to the stairs, then it's like, okay, you know. But I don't know. There's only one elevator, so I'm a little embarrassed to get on it. And as soon as the elevator opens, it's like right to my chemistry class. Like people will be like, girl, why don't you just take the stairs? So yeah, I've been taking the stairs, and I go up 4 flights of stairs, which may not seem like a lot, but low key for the untrained airways, it's a little difficult. Okay, my cardio, I haven't been training my cardio lately, so it's a little difficult. Hopefully I'll get used to it. But yeah, just like going all the way from the bottom floor to the 4th floor is like the worst thing. And then of course right after that I have to I'm like walking up the stairs with my AirPods on, trying to be like like trying to control my breathing, because it's so embarrassing whenever you like get up there and you're like super winded, like and then of course I go into a super hot classroom, which still has not been fixed, but then finally I chill out. Teacher's also really nice in that class. Luckily, have a little bit of trauma in chemistry. Last year my teacher was just very special and very specific and very bipolar. Sometimes I feel like he hated me, sometimes I feel like he didn't hate me. Sometimes he just like really wanted to help me, and then sometimes he was just like, figure it out, you idiot. And I was like, okay, cool. So actually this year I have a girl, which I don't know if that really makes a difference, but sometimes, sometimes when you have a girl teacher, it's just like, eh. And she's pretty nice so far. I really like the way she does lectures. She basically writes the notes on the whiteboard. So I quite literally, like, the notes are being written out for me. I can just copy down the format of notes that she has. And it's really great because I hate also, like, when I'm looking at slides and I'm trying to figure out how to format my notes. I'm very particular about how I like to format my notes, like which are going to be subpoints, which are going to be points, like main points, headers, whatever. So she lays it out perfectly for me, and the lectures are recorded, which is great in case I have to take a mental health day every once in a while, And luckily lectures are only 50 minutes, so that's just so amazing. Last year, since I was in a community college, I didn't know that lectures and labs being separate was a thing. I thought they were always just like that because I had a 3-hour chemistry period, no matter if I had lab that day or not. I mean, sometimes we get out a little bit early, but no, not usually. So I had a 3-hour lab period 3-hour chemistry period where Tuesdays we had 3 consecutive hours of learning and lecture, and then on Thursdays we would have lab, and then whatever time remaining we would do lecture. So it was not my favorite chemistry schedule, okay? But yeah, luckily I only have labs on Mondays. I had my first lab today, actually. It was pretty simple. I really like the format of the pre-labs and the post-labs, and I really like my partner. We're kind of the same. We're kind of on the same boat academic-wise, and she's pretty chill. So shout out to you, girl, if you're watching this. Moving on to biology. I had biology for the first time my second day. The schedule's a little bit weird. We have lab on Tuesdays, which is before the lecture. So I don't know how they're doing that, but whatever. Lab on Tuesdays, lecture Wednesday mornings, and active learning / lecture on Thursdays. But I really like my professor. I have a different professor for lab, but for lecture and active learning, we have the same professor. And I am so good at like gauging people's vibes in general, I think personally. A little bit of discernment, if you will. And he definitely gives like millennial Gen Z cusp vibes. Like, I don't think he's completely a millennial, but he's definitely not Gen Z. He's a doctor, so I'm like, you're not Gen Z, because I don't think you can get to the point to be a doctor yet if you're Gen Z. So I feel like he's on the cusp, like 97, 98, around that area. And he talks like a Gen Z, like he has Gen Z terminology. It's really easy to understand his biology lectures. The teacher that I had in my community college, no shade, I loved her too. She was kind of quirky, but I will say she wasn't the best at actually teaching. Lecture-wise, like lecturing, she really just read off the slides, and I'm just not the biggest fan of reading off slides. Now, we do have slides in my biology lecture, but he explains them so well, and he also writes on the board, which is a common theme here. I think writing on the board really helps because you have a way of writing your notes. And like he just, he's with the culture. He's with the pop culture. He literally mentioned Taylor Swift because he mentioned Aristotle at some point. He was like, well, Taylor Swift mentioned him and her album at some point. I was like, oh, yeah. He was like, which I didn't like, by the way. And I was like, okay, buddy, not too much now, but it's okay. We were talking about evolution, and I forgot who it was, honestly. I forgot who it was, but it was like Darwin's cousin or something, and he was like, yeah, Darwin's cousin was like so jealous of his findings, so then they decided to publish together and blah, blah, blah. So it's just the way he talks is so easy to understand, and it's just like, yeah, I love it. He also mentioned some research opportunities, which I might have to go for because it might be a good opportunity for pharmacy school. Now, the campus vibes, I would say after going through a full week of college, I'm a little bit excited to get involved low key. I loved my community college. Like, that's why I was so nervous coming in my first day, just because it was just overwhelming seeing so many people in between classes. Like, literally in my old college, in between class times, there really wasn't that many people in the halls. There's so many people, and it's just in one building, and they're just like moving around. So I was like, whoa, slow it down. But yeah, after I made some friends. I made some friends at my theater auditions, and I made a friend in my lab class. And I'm hoping to make more. I don't know. They had a on campus outreach event. It's kind of like those like club fairs where they set up a whole bunch of tables on campus, and there's like different clubs, sororities, blah blah blah. That's just like that you can come up to and just see what you want to join. Unfortunately, I was a little shy and I went out the back door and I did not go through it, which I'm kind of regretting it now. But yeah, I think I just need to do some research to see how I can get involved. Campus is just really beautiful. I'm so excited for the leaves to turn orange and yellow and just kind of walk through. Especially today, the weather was so nice today. Even though I only had like 2 classes today and I was inside for most of it, and I'm gonna go home soon. But the weather was just so nice today, so I'm getting a little glimpse as to what the future holds for me. Just that feeling of having so many people around me was so overwhelming at first, but now that I've gone through the whole week, it's just kind of nice. Like, it's just nice being near people. I'm a little bit of a people watcher, so it's kind of nice to just do my homework and just kind of see people that come inside of the union, go out, what their coffee orders are, like, and people that I see in my class that are just like studying, like, it's great. I also do have some hallway eye candy. That's always great, which we'll talk about it in our romanticization episode, which is coming up next week. But always having a good hallway crush keeps you motivated for the semester. He's just easy on the corneas. And it gives me the motivation to go to chemistry class, okay? There is a study group that was developed for my chemistry class, so I'm also kind of excited to meet people through there, hopefully. Kind of just see how study groups work in general, because this wasn't really a thing. I feel like I don't think it was really a thing in my community college. If anything, maybe sometimes like a small class of students would get together and just like go over the material together, but I wasn't really part of that. I don't know. I was just shy. I was really like a go to school, get the heck out, right? Like right after school was over. So yeah, I would say honestly, those are just some of my wins from the week. Meeting some new people and having great professors so far. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. And I actually stuck to some of my habits, which is reviewing lectures right after lecture, specifically with chemistry, because my professor actually has us do like a lecture review that's due before the next lecture period. So that's pretty nice. I'm basically forced to review the lecture. And also waking up on time. I have to go to work early in the morning, and then after there I go to school. So I actually have been trying to go to sleep by 11, and then waking up around like 6:30 to 7, maybe 7:30 the latest, depending how ready I need to get. Yeah, it definitely has been working out for me for this week better than I thought it would. I did the math and I would still get about 5, 6. If I wake up at 6, I still get about 7 hours of sleep. If I wake up at 7, it's about 8 hours of sleep. So hey, it all works out. Just some challenges that I did have from the first week. Again, I mentioned that I'm now pretty excited to kind of get involved, but I really shot myself in the foot this week with trying that. Sometimes I get too shy, and so I just like put on my poker face and just avoid things, like how I avoided that opportunities fair. I think I would also like to reach out with my professors a little bit more too, especially like the research opportunity that's with my biology professor, and have to go over some factoring with my calculus professor, and also just my chemistry professor also, because I know I'm going to be struggling in that class quite a bit. Another challenge that I've had was buying food on campus. This first week I was going to try to bring my lunch to school every day. And honestly, it wouldn't be to school. I like kind of eat it before I leave for school, because I go to school around lunchtime. And it worked out for like the first 2 to 3 days, and then it didn't work out for me. There's actually some really good food places here in my college town, so it's been very tempting, because there's a really good Chinese place, really good Thai place, a really good pho place. There's Chick-fil-A here, which we don't have in my hometown. There's also Einstein Bagels. There's just a lot of really good places. So I think it's that's just an issue that I have to overcome. That's definitely something I'm going to work on for next week, or this week basically, because this is when you'll be watching the episode. If you're watching on lovely YouTube or Spotify, I had to change my angle because the sun was starting to directly hit my face and it was not very flattering. But yeah, any adjustments moving forward for this semester, I think just trying to put myself out there a little bit more in general, because I really do struggle with that. Again, I kind of just shut myself down and like, okay, if I try to make friends, it'll kind of maybe end up awkward. I feel like that's the mentality that I have. And so I kind of need to block that from my brain and really just try to put myself out there. Don't be shy to talk to people, and if they don't end up being friends, and that's okay also. Like it's fine. It's not that serious. Also, the classes are much bigger, so I feel like if I did this in a community college and a friendship didn't work out, then it's kind of awkward, because a lot of the classes were very small, but in all my classes, they're pretty big, pretty spaced out. My biology lecture is actually like in a small auditorium, so it's very spaced out. It's pretty nice. And then hopefully prepping my lunch, eating things that I really like. Like I really like apples and peanut butter. And then I also don't know if you've ever tried this, but I really like grapes with goat cheese. It's so good. You need to try it if you haven't. Those are some great snacks, and then finding something that really works as my main course, because I do get hungry. After being here for like a while, like even if I eat breakfast or if I don't know, eat a little snack in the morning, by the time I get out of my last class, like at 3 or 4, I get pretty hungry, and then that's why I end up buying food. So I need to bring up some backup lunch. I don't know, or just eat a bigger lunch. I don't know, but I need to find a solution for that. And then I also need to really solidify my study schedule. Since it was just syllabus week, well, I guess not exactly syllabus week, we did go over some material, but since most of it is like review or very basic concepts, so I feel like the first week I was kind of like, eh. But no, that should have been addressed from day one. So I need to address it while we're still very early in the semester. Luckily, I didn't have to change any classes on my schedule, so everything will remain the same for the rest of the semester. And yeah, just any goals for this week are to join a club or something. Join a club or an activity of some sort, whether it's intramural sports or some type of science club. I really don't know. I need to do some research. And also for you, I feel like that's a great goal for you guys to have, especially if you're a freshman or a transfer student. It's so weird because I'm like, yeah, I'm a junior, but technically like I'm new to the school because I'm a transfer student. So it's like, But I guess also a lot of people in my school are transfer students. So a lot of people are very understanding and very helpful, especially if they're seniors or juniors at this point. But yeah, that was just a little bit of my first week in my new school. I'm excited to start the semester and really stick to the grind, okay? And I will try to give some updates throughout my podcast episodes. I'm so excited to film my next episode, which will be about romanticizing your academics, which can be so easy for some people and it can be so hard for some people. So yeah, I'm excited to share with you guys. And yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, definitely let me know down below. And if you want to let me know how your first week of school went and what level of school you're in, because maybe you're a freshman, so it can be very different input as a freshman than a transfer student or a junior in college, or I don't know. So you guys, as I said in the last episode, be brave. Whatever is difficult, as I try to maintain my goals for this week, I will remind myself that I have to be a brave girl. And yeah, if you're on YouTube, definitely subscribe and follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you guys have. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!